Now, Emmette Dillon is a nurse, he's a mental health campaigner, and he's also a model. He's about to take part in a massive modelling contest in December. We're going to find out now by talking to Emmette Dillon. How are you, sir?
How are you? Thanks for having me, Rowan.
Very well, thank you. So tell us about this massive competition you have coming up, Mister Supranational, isn't it?
So Mister Supranational is owned by the Mister Supranational Pageant Federation, so it's one of the top 5 in the world. I was actually supposed to take part 2 years ago in the inaugural contest, but I was actually assaulted and had facial injuries, so couldn't take part. And basically about 8-9 weeks ago, I liked a post, and the director basically contacted me and said, we still haven't had an Irish delegate yet, would you like to be the inaugural male representative? Well, first Irish representative regardless of sex, so it's been a whirlwind. Carbohydrates have went bye-bye. But look, I've been involved in pageantry in the modelling industry for 11 years, pageantry about 7 years. I helped to produce an event for Alison Clark, ACA, for Miss Northern Ireland. I was a producer of Miss Donegal for Miss Ireland. I was coach for Miss Earth Ireland and also a producer for Miss Earth Northern Ireland. So to be honest, it's a bit not selfish, but it's a bit self-indulgent because I spent so much time pushing other people's careers, and when this opportunity came up, initially I was a bit reluctant, but I thought I'm getting to the top of the age bracket now, so why not? And for me, the last couple of years have focused heavily on my own mental health, and it created an awareness in me that I need to speak up for other people. So it's just been perfect timing.
This is the main reason why you're doing it. This is the big reason why you're off to Poland on the 8th of December, aren't you?
Yep. So I fly out now on Sunday to Poland, and you're right. That is my mental health campaign and focuses around men's mental health and equality in all of its forms. The mental health side of things is, look, it's on the news every day, especially around the Foyle area. In terms of male suicide, 18 to 35 is the most at-risk group. It's really funny, I was looking at research there, and they said that suicide and mental health in men has actually got worse since the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. Right. And as a nurse, I can say there is one reason why mental health statistics are becoming what I would consider an epidemic, and that is because lack of services. And as a nurse, I understand that services are limited and we have a limited budget, but what I can say is that it's statistically proven that public health strategies, as in any means of encouraging people to speak up, signposting, getting people help, will save money in the long term. But unfortunately, the boys up in the hill have decided they're having an extended holiday to themselves. And let's be honest, we have now the Protect Life 2 strategy, which was the next step in protecting people who are living with mental illness, and it's now null and void. So we're right back at square one. So for me, we have no government, we have very little in the way of statutory provision, and that is not a criticism, it's just the nature of the way things are at the minute. So for me, what works is, what can we use? We can use social media, and that's why I want to promote the hashtag Checkmate. It basically means in a world of social media, you talk about attachment theory, Bowlby's attachment theory, how we create relationships. Social media has enabled us to connect, but has completely broken down how we communicate. You know, people now feel the pressure to be perfect because you've got this filter-based culture of Instagram. And we all have busy lives. I'm not for 1 minute underselling the power of social media, but for me, it's about using it responsibly. Usually people with anxiety and depression might appear withdrawn, or they might not see themselves, and it's just really important to lift the phone, go and see people in person, or even send them a message and say, look, I hope I'm wrong, but are you okay? You seem a bit withdrawn. Because I know myself, when my mum passed away in February 2014, I hit the ground running. A matter of weeks later, I started a new nursing post. I started the hashtag Be Brave, Be Body Aware, Be Cancer Free campaign, put out 2 annual cancer awareness calendars involving implied nudity with cancer survivors, released a charity single for the Marie Keaton Foundation with my friend Dylan Reid, and basically hit the ground running. And I don't regret any of it, but it was a means of deflecting the grief.
Yes.
And then when that all hit home, it was awful. And then in the last year, last 2 years, I've been assaulted twice on the basis of homophobia, which is really interesting because both attacks happened before I actually came out. It was purely someone judged me based on how I looked.
And you were left with a brain injury, weren't you?
Yeah,
from
I
this?
broke
So how serious was the attack?
Well, it was very serious in the sense of I'm a very outgoing, very extroverted sort of person, but I was left emotionally distraught. The initial physical injuries, I had a broken shoulder in 2 places and I had 4 bleeds in my brain and was left with a minor traumatic brain injury. Now, if anyone has had even a concussion, they'll understand you have nausea, you have sleep disruption. I endured personality changes. My moods went from high to low, then financially as well, you can't work.
Yeah.
You know, I was a risk, I couldn't work because I was a risk to people, but what really got me was losing that sense of self. You know, if anyone came up near me into my personal space, I was so on edge. And
was there fear about leaving the house even?
Was there fear about even interacting with people at all? Because it made me doubt the very sense of human nature, like someone who's seen me. And at the time of the second attack, for a modelling job, I had silver hair and I was actually doing a band review and, you know, was well dressed and that was enough. And, you know, I very much believe in forgiveness and I believe everything happens for a reason, whether we like it or not. But it's just, for me, we live in Northern Ireland. We've learned the lessons from the past. We should engage in this notion of mutual respect. And, you know, that took me a long time to come back from, to gain confidence emotionally and even cognition. It was very, very difficult. Memory loss, just sometimes I know what I wanted to say but couldn't physically get out there. And then because people can't see it, you know, it's the exact same as mental health issues. You know,
where do these attacks happen? Where?
I can't name obviously the places, but a nightclub in Dublin following one of my friends, Conor Coyle's professional boxer, and we went to a nightclub with his team after a fight. We were there for 10 minutes. I went to go to the bathroom and was hit from behind, and then someone basically put their heel into my face. And the second attack was in a well-known concert venue in Belfast, and I was coming down the stairs from the bathroom and seen someone look at me on the way up the stairs and they punched me. And
this happened in full view of people?
Yeah. Full view.
And I hope the guys who attacked you have been caught. Have they been sentenced?
Well, that's the nature of the Dublin case is still ongoing, and the venue in Belfast, again, that's ongoing. But you know, the nature of a night out, both of them just went back into crowded areas, and it's very hard to pick people out. And the staff were brilliant. Yeah. For me, it's not necessarily about the individuals; it's the lessons that have to be learned. You know, this sense of entitlement that you can lift your hand or your foot to someone, or even verbally, you know, because mental scars take a lot longer to heal. And the way
has it stopped you going to venues and stopped you going to nightclubs and bars?
No, because I'm not going to be anybody's victim. You know, I point blank refuse anyone who has encountered any type of discrimination, whether that be on basis of skin color, race, sexual orientation, religion, culture. Don't take it. You know, stand up for yourself. You do not have to apologize for who you are. So what? I have a partner who's a man. For me, it says more about the individuals. Are they happy with themselves? Do they have something that they necessarily need to say? Because if you're confident in your own sexuality or your own belief system, why do you need to target anyone else? But again, to bring it back around on a positive note, you know, everything happens for a reason. If it wasn't for this experience, maybe when I was offered the chance to go for Supranational, I might not have taken it, because this is for me. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for other people to show them that regardless of how dark of a place you go, because I'm not going to lie, you know, I went to a very, very dark place. I attempted suicide in June, and it was just emotional breakdown, because you're expected, especially with the campaigning and being a nurse and being in the modelling industry, you know, people have this perception of you that you're a workhorse and that you're bulletproof.
Yes.
And you're not. And it's so important to say it's okay not to be okay, and not to think that you're invincible. It's okay to have an off day and regroup, do whatever you need to do. Like, I'm a massive advocate for mindfulness and meditation. Now, meditation isn't some man sitting on the mountainside, levitating. Simply some meditation apps, or there's playlists on Spotify, and lie down on top of the bed and just try and clear your head. Exercise for me has been a saving grace. It really has, because it has obviously multiple benefits, but I found for my own mind, antidepressants didn't work for me. They actually were very detrimental to my mental health, but that's only my experience. But I honestly do think GPs, because they're under such constraints in terms of they have 10 minutes with you, they feel that they have to give you something. But the very nature of a lot of antidepressants is they cause depression. So I think people have to be very mindful of what works for them, whether that be counselling, whether that be talk to a friend, especially for men, because men still have this understanding of being, if you speak out, you're going to be emasculated or you're seen as weak. Really, men
but even
talk.
before you get to that stage, men don't talk about their feelings, really. I mean, it's great that you're opening up and you're being very open about what happened to you, but for a lot of men to take that first step even, and to admit that they have a problem, or to admit to their doctor even that they need a little bit of help, that first stage is still very difficult for men out there, isn't it?
Look, it is. When you're depressed, the irrational mind is a powerful thing. Like, I've had multiple friends who have said to me, why did you attempt suicide, this, that, and other? Because in my irrational mind, that was the most logical thing to do. It was the only way out. I know it's cliche. It was the only way that I could stop the pain. And in my mind, everyone else would be better off. But obviously that is completely incorrect. But yes, it is hard. And I had to basically swallow my pride, get a big spoon and swallow it down and just go, because I can tell you now, it's an instant relief, an instant weight lifted off your shoulders. And, a problem shared is a problem halved. Sometimes when your mind, especially with anxiety, is going around and around and around, once you share that information with someone, they might be able to rationalize it, or even by sharing it, by someone paraphrasing it back, you hear it from a different perspective, and it can help you digest it. When you're in a state of crisis, like, your mind acts as a personal prison. And again, with this notion of social media and Love Island and everyone looks amazing and their life is fantastic. No, it's not. Everyone has dark days, and you know what? The darker days will lead to a brighter future. I honestly believe that. There was a saying I wrote my mum's eulogy, and it was, it's only in the bleakest of darkness that we appreciate the faintest glimmer of light. Yeah. And it's appreciating that, it's tough. We have multiple things that going on at the minute, like Brexit and, countless other things in this fractured world, but what we have is each other. Yeah. And whilst we don't have the statutory provisions, we can rely on each other. We have the lived, experience. Yeah. And it's great to see, like, in Derry, there's an organisation called Me for Mental, and it's people with mental health issues making use of coffee mornings to coach each other. Yes, you've got Pips in Belfast. Pips is absolutely amazing. It's self-referral, walking off the street. And then Leonard and counselling as well, which can be accessed through GP. There is help out there, but what I would say is that I would encourage everyone to help support organisations. Like, just this week, I did a fundraiser with Colin Salmon from Krypton. He was in James Bond, and it was Max. It was a sleep out for for youth homelessness. And, I thought, it'd be fine. It'll be a bit cold, this and that. No, it was absolutely Baltic. And I can understand, for me, the link to mental health was the fact that a lot of people are homeless because they don't have a fixed abode. Mm-hmm. They're living with chronic mental health issues, but they can't get access to services. Yeah. Or they fall within the gap in terms of service delivery. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that we support these organisations, because I know within healthcare, NGOs and charities, volunteer organisations, massively bridge the gap between an ever-increasing level of need and the shortfall in statutory services.
And of course, the crazy thing we have here, we're a small population, but even though we're a small population, we have this big problem at the minute, don't we?
I think Northern Ireland's biggest asset that we can call upon is our human nature. Mm-hmm. We are, we're very open, we're very honest people. Of course, the very nature of mental illness makes you go inwards. Yeah. But this is a global epidemic. This is not just something that's isolated in Northern Ireland. Obviously, my priority is to take our experience and what's worked well for us and bring that to the global stage. But no, men's mental health is a global epidemic. You know, the statistics are, you know, they're terrifying to read, but you know, you look at diabetes management, you look at dementia awareness. Awareness is key in empowering people. No one can get you out of a dark place.
Yeah.
You have to come at least to the table and, you know, lay it all out there, which can feel embarrassing, but you know, I never want to be in that place again. And how I can do that is by being open, being honest, and seeking the right help. And you know what? Sometimes you might not get the right answer the first time round. It might take you a couple of goes round. Like me personally, counselling was great to sort of level out my thinking process, but it just wasn't for me. Yeah. Antidepressants weren't for me. Exercise and focusing on diet and sleeping for me was key. Yeah. But it's not one hat fits all, you know, it has to be a holistic assessment, then met with an equally as tailored management plan.
Emmette, thank you so much for coming in
and
sharing your story with us. And thank you for taking this on to a global stage as well. The 8th of December, you're going to be in Poland, aren't you?
That's great. Thanks very much. Thanks for your help.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.